Hey everybody, I'm back, Tamika TTC. Now I know I look just like my last video, but I got the free time. I might as well do these videos. I owe you guys a couple. So anyway, I wanted to, while I'm all excited, and I explained my excitement in my last video, so be sure to check that out. But while I'm excited, I wanted to use this time to talk to you guys about how I got here. Why am I trying to be a single mom by choice? So let's just say that I have not had a serious committed relationship since probably 2004. That's not even a mistake. 2004. Yes, I know it's 2017. It's been 13 years since I've had a serious committed relationship. Have I dated? Yes. Have I had boyfriends since then? Yes, but no boyfriends that have made it past the 3-month mark. What can I say? I am just not tolerant anymore of nonsense. I learned that lesson. You spend 7.5 years with someone putting up with things that you should have walked away from. You learn that lesson well, and not to waste life anymore. But anyway, I'm not here to talk about that. Basically, since I am selective in who I choose to spend my time with, men-wise, and just not having any success in the relationship department, I have been considering being a single mom by choice, although I didn't know it was called that then. I just have been considering insemination since 2010, since 30 years old. I've been considering it. I even developed a short list of male friends of mine who I would ask. That list, I think, only had 2 people on it. I actually asked one of them. He shall remain nameless, but if he ever saw this video, he'll know that I'm talking about him. But I asked him. I said, he was saying that he was getting to the point. He's 5 years older than me. I was 30, he was 35, and he was saying he was getting to the point where he was just going to look for somebody to carry his seed, basically. And well, I said, oh, you're at the same point that I am. So how about this? If in 3 years, because I was giving myself until 33 at that point in time, that if in the next 3 years, if I'm not anywhere close to being married and you're not anywhere being close to being married, how about we go half on a baby? And he said, I don't know. I would have to think about it. Now, granted, at the time we did live 1,000 miles away from each other. So, big, serious thing, considering that I live so far away. And, we didn't discuss the details on how the baby would get in there, but I just said, let's go half on a kid. Why not? So, he didn't say no. He didn't say yes. But it didn't matter because 3 years later he was married. So, big deal. And my other person ended up married and he's got 5 kids of his own now. So, obviously that didn't work out. So, I didn't have anybody else to ask. And so I have been telling people probably since 2014 that I was just gonna use a sperm bank. So in 2014, I had my annual pap smear. When I talked to the doctor, I knew he was an RE and that he did fertility and he had information and stuff on it. So I said, listen, next year I'm going to be 35. What you got on my sperm donors? And he gave me a catalog to look through, and I kind of thumbed through it just to see what was in there. I didn't really look hard into the situation at all, and believe it or not, a year is really not a long time. It goes by really fast. So my 35th birthday was coming up in 2015, and I said, okay, so I said I would start this journey at 35, but I haven't been to Italy yet. I took 4 years of Italian in high school. I needed to get to Italy. So I said, I don't know when I would be able to travel internationally if I had a kid on my own. So I need to take myself to Italy. So instead of starting my TTC journey at 35, I took a 12-day trip to Italy. And I had a ball. And I'm so glad that I did that. So I said I would start my journey the next year, 2016. So I would use my 35th year to get my body prepared, get all my ailments resolved, and all of that great stuff. So I was doing that. I started going to the chiropractor, and then I wanted to try acupuncture. Well, I didn't try acupuncture till later, but I started going to the chiropractor, and in 2014, what happened is around December of 2014, I started noticing blood clots in my stool, and I saw it again in January, and I saw it again in February, and that's when I decided to go to a GI doctor. Saw the GI doctor, and he said everything seemed to be fine, but based on, here we go, the nieces. He felt my, he palpated my abdominal, and he felt like my uterus was more forward. So he ordered an ultrasound of my pelvis, and then he said I should get that done before I have a colonoscopy, which he was also ordering. So I had the ultrasound done, and I had the colonoscopy, and while I was on the table for the colonoscopy, before they put me under, he asked me if I had gotten the ultrasound done. I did, and he looked at that before they got started. So when I woke up from the colonoscopy, he basically explained to me that everything looked good. He did see, I think, 1 or 2 things that looked like a polyp. It didn't look like anything that they would normally be concerned with, but they sent it to the lab, of course. But other than that, everything looked normal, because he was thinking maybe I had some internal hemorrhoid or something like that. But he said nothing out of the norm. The only thing is that I had a really huge leiomyoma, which is a medical term for fibroid, and said that it was pretty big. At this point, it was about 12 centimeters. And that since I have a GYN, I should go back to the GYN and get that resolved. And maybe that would resolve my my GI symptoms. Okay. I did follow up with him after the colonoscopy, where we discussed things while I wasn't coming down from anesthesia. He told me the same things. My lab work came back on the polyps that he removed, said they were benign. So everything was good there. And that I should just follow up with my GYN and come back and see him in August. So I had the ultrasound and colonoscopy in March of 2015. March of 2015. I went to Italy in April of 2015. I did see, I had a pap smear coming up where I mentioned everything to my, I think I had just had the pap smear in like February or March, something like that. But I mentioned everything to my GYN, who's also my RA. So I mentioned things to him, and then he did a transvaginal ultrasound, and he said he was concerned that my lining was thick. My lining has been thick for some time. The leiomyoma that the ultrasound that the GI doctor ordered, I already knew was there. It had been there since about 2006, before I even started seeing my current GYN. It was found by the previous GYN, but I don't know, she rubbed me the wrong way with that diagnosis, so I left her and I'm at my current GYN. So at the time that it was found in 2006, it was only 3.8 centimeters, okay? About the size of one of my ovaries. And it was pedunculated outside. Pedunculated just means hanging from a stalk, but it was on the top of my uterus, just dangling like a little berry, right? I'm sure I mentioned this fibroid before, or maybe I haven't. I don't know. I gotta see. I'm sure I mentioned my fibroid surgery. So yeah. So this is the same fibroid in 2006 that was just under 4 centimeters, and then in 2010, I had some issues with irregular cycles, and I was on a progestin on and off for about a year. I was basically taking it as needed to stop cycles that wouldn't stop while I was just flooding, and to start cycles that weren't coming on. And during that time, I think my fibroid grew to about 10 centimeters, and my GYN wasn't concerned about it at the time. So at this point in time, this is the only fibroid that I had. Then the GI issues started, and he said that my fibroid was apparently 12 centimeters now, which is only slightly larger, but 12 centimeters is like a huge grapefruit. Like 12 centimeters is like nothing to scream at. So, so that's what that was. So anyway, we go back to my GYN. He's concerned, about the fibroid, but he's also concerned about my lining. So he wants to do a biopsy. Okay. So we do a biopsy, and it was extremely painful. He did it in his office, and they gave me some Valium, but the Valium didn't really help. I mean, I was calm to get the procedure done, but it was painful, I got this fibroid sitting on top of my uterus. He says my cervix was a little shy, kept moving, so I had to cough, and he had to basically catch it and hold it in place so that he could take the biopsy. I was incredibly uncomfortable, but I could have taken more. So anyway, he does the biopsy, and then I come back for the results of the biopsy, and he's just like, well, it was inconclusive. Inconclusive? He said, well, I really didn't get the cells that I wanted to get. You were so uncomfortable. I was so uncomfortable. I mean, it wasn't like I was screaming, yelling, stop, stop, stop. I was listening to music. I was breathing. I could have taken a little bit more pain. I've got a pretty high tolerance. I don't know. I thought it was a lame excuse for him to have not gotten the cells that he wanted. But basically, he was saying instead of doing another biopsy, he wanted to do now a hysteroscopy, which I've had an hysteroscopy. So what is a hysteroscopy? Hysteroscopy is very similar to a colonoscopy, only they're not looking up that hole. They're looking up the other hole into the uterus. So it's the same thing where they take a scope that has a camera on the end, and they go up into your uterus and check out and see what's going on. Okay, here comes Denise. All right, so I have the hysteroscopy, and with the tools that I guess are at the end of the scope, he's able to get the cells that he needs, and we now have results. So the results come back. It says that I have hyperplasia. There are different forms of hyperplasia. I had the best case scenario. I can't remember the actual form of hyperplasia. I'll put it down here so you can look it up. But I'll also put a link to information on hyperplasia because I didn't have a whole lot of information on it at the time. But the way that he explained it to me is that hyperplasia is a precursor to endometrial cancer. Or it can be a precursor to endometrial cancer. However, the form that I have is completely reversible. So great, right? However, what do you do to reverse it? Well, I have to go on the progestin again. Not only do I have to go on the progestin, I have to go on it every day, and it's a much stronger dose of the progestin. Okay, sure, no problem. I had the progestin, no biggie. Wasn't really told anything much more from that. I went on a progestin. I was supposed to be on it for, I think, 6 weeks, 2 months, something like that. I was on it. I think he prescribed me 3 months. But then at 6 weeks, which is the halfway point, we did another biopsy to confirm. Hi, Oreo. Kitty. We did another biopsy to confirm that my hyperplasia was either getting better or that it was gone. So at 6 weeks, this is around October-ish, the biopsy results came back, said my hyperplasia was gone. Yay, no more hyperplasia. So he's basically saying at this point, well, this was like, I think September, right? So he's saying at this point, everything's fine. And I said, well, wait a minute. What about my fibroid and my GI issues? And he's just like, well, don't worry about the fibroid. I said, even if I want to have kids. And he goes, yeah, the fibroid's not going to bother the kids. It's on the outside of the uterus. It's not going to crowd a baby. And I'm like, but it's 12 centimeters, like 12 centimeters. Okay. A huge grapefruit. Once the kid gets big enough, isn't that going to push up on something on me? Wouldn't that make me uncomfortable? Like, I mean, not that I don't want the kid to be safe, but isn't it going to make me uncomfortable too? And I just said, well, what about my GI symptoms? And he's just like, well, so you've had the colonoscopy? Yes. And he thinks the fibroid is the cause. He doesn't see any other reason why I would have blood clots in my stool. So here comes the argument again. I don't know why she insists on screaming. Okay, I think she's done now. Anyway, so he agrees to do a CT. A CT to see where the fibroid is, what position it's in relation to the rest of my organs, to see what's going on there, if it, maybe it's pushing up against my intestine or something and causing the clotting. Who knows? Okay. So we get the CT results. What does the CT results say? My fibroid is now 20 centimeters. So it has jumped from 12 centimeters in March to 20 centimeters in now October by the time I had the CT. At this point, he's like, no, we got to get it out of there. We got to get it out. So 2 weeks after the CT, I have an MRI, which an MRI is meant to be a better test, I guess, when they're going to go in surgical because you can see more. So I had the MRI done. And my surgery was scheduled for November 30th. Sorry. Sometimes you're just talking and it just feels like you get a piece of lint in your throat. Ugh, that's what that was. Okay. So on November 30th, I had my fibroid, which was already dying. From what I understand, the middle had my MRI had said that it already had necrosis in the middle, so that means it was already dying. And that at this point, I also forgot to say, the CT said that my fibroid was 20 centimeters, but it also found 3 smaller ones. 3 smaller ones that had not previously been found by any ultrasound. So there we go. So we had the MRI. The MRI said that there was already necrosis in the middle of the larger one, which apparently is actually really common when a fibroid grows really fast. It grows fast, but the blood supply, the vessels that the fibroid is using to feed off of, my niece is so rude, I can't get any peace and quiet in here. That the blood vessels don't grow as fast. So due to that, what happens is the fibroid starts to die. And up until 2 weeks prior to my surgery, I had absolutely no pain associated with my fibroid. I had a belly. Actually, my uncle passed away 2 weeks before my surgery, so I had to go to his funeral, and everybody thought I was pregnant. That's how big my stomach was. I actually have a picture from that weekend of my belly and what it looked like. I'll import it. Everybody thought I looked like 6 to 8 months pregnant. Everybody, including my mother, who I don't have a lot of interaction with my mom. We don't have the best relationship, but you know, this was a family event. I can't really avoid her. So everybody, my aunts, my cousins, even my mother thought that I was pregnant. And I guess I just didn't tell anybody. So instead of asking me outright, well, my aunt eventually asked me because her husband asked her if I was pregnant. And she told herself, no, because if she was, I would know about it. So my aunt says, there's no way that she could have been pregnant because I would know already. So no, but then my aunt had to think like, well, she has been talking about this whole getting pregnant and insemination thing. So maybe I'm gonna ask her. So she asked me and I told her, no, I'm not pregnant. I just have a really huge fibroid that I have to get removed in 2 weeks. I'm having surgery. So that's what it is. It's a 20 centimeter fibroid. Like, so yeah, so I had to distill all the rumors that I was with child. Not all, I don't know. Some people probably still walked away thinking that I was pregnant or something. Who knows? But by the time I got to the funeral, I was in a lot of pain. You know, I couldn't, I mean, this was 2 weeks before. I was moving like a pregnant woman, standing up, sitting down. I couldn't eat, having a full stomach, applied pressure, and I would just get sharp pain associated with that. So I couldn't really eat. Getting up, sitting down, I couldn't even lay on my back. I had to lay on my side, and even laying on my side, I had to use a pillow. Like, I felt in late stage pregnancy, even though I have no idea what that feels like, I felt like that's what it was because I just could not maneuver around this stomach. It was crazy. But I had the surgery. I mean, I've shown you guys, you know, my insemination day. You saw like my scar. I do have a vertical incision from my bikini line to just under my navel. So got that fibroid out, and it weighed almost 5 pounds. So I was basically carrying a full-term baby at the time. And I don't know, I guess I got a glimpse at what I would look like pregnant. So that's where we are there. So I had that surgery in November of 2015. All my research on that surgery said that I had to wait at least 4 months before I could try to conceive. So 4 months of healing. So right before I had the surgery, I did meet someone, and it seemed like it was going well. So I was considering, you know, pushing things off a bit to see where this relationship would go. But because my 36th birthday was coming, you know, and in just after Valentine's Day, early March, the relationship completely fell apart, fizzled out. See, 3 months. 3 months. It fell apart, and I cut things off. And, you know, I've been on a couple dates. Have I been on any dates since then? I can't remember. I don't know if I've been on any. Oh, yes, I have been on dates since then. But, see, what happened was, that fizzled out in March of 2016. I got busy with work. So by the time April 2016 came up, because that's when my birthday is, in April, I had to go on a business trip. So I ended up in Dubai for a business trip for my birthday in 2016. So I went there, and then work was just extremely busy in May, so I just didn't really prepare to go back to the doctor and start my journey. So April went by, May went by, June almost went by. Just midway through June is when my sister got sick, and I ran up from Florida to New Jersey, and there went the rest of my year. You know, my sister had her medical emergency. She was in the hospital from June to December. She finally, not finally, but she passed away on December 4th of 2016. I stayed in New Jersey. I mean, I was there, I would say 90% of my time. I would come back. I mean, I can't stay up there the whole time. I gotta make sure everything with my house is good. I have appointments that I was missing with my own doctors, dentist, you know, all kinds of things. So I would come back. I was there, I think 7 weeks before I came back home for a weekend to, you know, take care of what I needed to take care of here at the house with my cats and everything, before going back up there. And so I would spend at least a month before coming back down here. So that went on. So I was back and forth, feeling like a stranger in my own hometown, not my hometown, but my own town. And just going back and forth between here and there. And after she passed away, I was pretty much in charge of her final arrangements and making sure that my niece, my sister's daughter, who was only 20 at the time, you know, made her transition to her own independence, and making sure that she got into her apartment and trying to take care of those things. So that pretty much took up the rest of 2016 and the first part of 2017. So we got towards the end. So for my birthday this year, I decided to take a cruise, and I was on that cruise for a week, and it was just sort of a break from all the seriousness and all the pressure and all the stress of and just a release from you know, everything that was on me during the time that my sister was ill, during the time of her passing, and everything that occurred after that. So I went on that cruise. I enjoyed myself, although I kind of mourned my sister a little bit. I think I got a little too tipsy and got into it, and there were some tears involved. But all in all, it was a great experience, and I determined myself to come home in May, and with my May cycle, start this process. So that is what I've done, and that's what brings us to today. I mean, you guys have the video since May, my cycle 0. There's a playlist for it. So May of this year, that's when I started, and that is how I got here to today. My gosh, this has been such a long video, but it's been such a long journey to this point. I didn't always want kids. I've been an auntie since I was 7, and you know, I've been around babies, spoiled kids. You know, I was just like, do I really want one of these little crumb snatchers? Plus, kids cost money and all that great stuff. And I guess it's just what you say when you're younger and you're not married, and you know, you just don't give it any serious thought. But then I found out about that fibroid, and my previous GYN didn't give me a whole lot of information on fibroids. In fact, she made it seem as if I had a timeline on my childbearing years, you know, basically saying that I needed to go home and get pregnant right away. And I wasn't even dating anyone at the time. So I just, I had to really seriously give it some thought. And in 2006, at the age of 26, I decided that I definitely wanted to have children. So I needed to make that happen. So since the dating thing wasn't working, I started considering my alternatives, and insemination was one of them. You know, so again, it's been a long journey, and you know, I guess you could say 7 years to the single mom by choice journey. It took I guess 7 years or 6.5 years or 7 years ish to come to the point to actually start the single mom by choice journey. And here I am. Currently I am as of the making of this video, I am 2 IUIs in, and still going. I'm currently in my 4th cycle, not including my pre-start cycle. So I guess you could say I'm 5 cycles in to my attempts currently. So I started with 0. And so 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 is the 4th cycle since actually making attempts. But of course, there's all the pre-work and the cycle before making your first attempt. So I consider that cycle 0. And that's where we are today. So this is how I got to where I am. This is why I want to be a single mom by choice. This is why I'm moving forward in being a single mom by choice. And it is not, even though I have not been TTCing for very long, it has been a very long journey for me thus far, which is why I feel like I'm so more emotional about my IUIs and their success or lack thereof. And I just... you know, I just need things to go well and right for me so that I can continue with my life and not feel like that everything is such a struggle for me, because that has been the story of my life, where everything has been a struggle and a fight. But you know what? Anything worth having is worth fighting for, and I am fighting for this just like I fought for everything else that I have in my life. And, you know, we are the sum of our experiences, and this is who I am, and this is how I came to be here, and that's it. All right, guys, so, again, I know this was another long video. I am very long-winded. If you haven't got that by now, all my videos are super-duper long, but, thank you for listening and following and commenting and subscribing and everything that you do to support me, to encourage me, everything you do to support anyone in this TTC community, whether they're a single mom by choice or whether, you know, they're in a relationship and doing it with a partner, you know, whether it be a same-sex partner or opposite-sex partner, whatever. No judgments here. I just I'm having a good day today, so I'm actually going to do another video after this, so you'll have 3 where I look exactly the same. That's fine. All right, so this video is getting long, and this is how I came to be and how I'm at my journey. So thanks for watching, and sticky baby dust to all the TTCers. Bye.